Welcome to Making More, the podcast where high-performing business owners and visionary executives share how they're building more than just bottom lines. I'm your host, Billy Fisher, an engineering leader turned business and executive coach, and I'm guided by a personal mission to help leaders create clarity, build forward momentum, and make more of what matters most. Today on Making More, I'm joined by Johnny Goode, president of MSP Manufacturing over in Bloomington, Indiana. Johnny's journey is anything but ordinary, from serving in law enforcement and the Army National Guard to leading his family's manufacturing business through impressive growth. Along the way, he's launched new ventures like Mobile Mulligans and Goode Solutions, always keeping family legacy, military discipline, and entrepreneurial vision at the heart of his leadership. We'll dive into his story, his growth strategy, and his mission to give back. Johnny, welcome to Making More.
Thank you.
How are you doing so far today?
I'm doing well. Just getting some stuff done. I am traveling to the UK next week.
The UK. What takes you overseas?
We are going to a trade show called DSEI, so a defense trade show in London, and then we have some partnerships with some UK companies. So I'll be visiting them, and
Get
I
to
also
have some
just really love
meetings.
London. Yeah.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. Yes, I've been, but it hasn't been since like a student trip way back in the early
Okay.
2000s. So I need to take a trip when I'm of pub visiting age. That would be, I think, a much more fruitful trip.
Yes.
All right. So to get started here, just to introduce yourself, if you will, tell the audience a little bit about MSP Manufacturing, what it is you all do, who your customers are, and what's the latest with MSP.
So MSP Manufacturing is a company located in Bloomington, Indiana. We were founded in 1943. MSP stands for Marion Screw Products. So they made tachometers for planes during World War II. Stayed with aviation for the most part of its lifetime. It's changed ownership a couple times. My father purchased a company in 2002. It was located in Gnawbone, Indiana at that time, and relocated it to Bloomington, Indiana, where we had existing warehouse space available. And then he bought a bunch of product lines, grew the company significantly, quadrupled its employment, increased revenue by 1,000%, and increased the square footage significantly. Our core product is which we were kind of famous for a while, and also the only ones really approved by the FAA to make. So we have pretty much a part on virtually every single commercial aircraft that's airborne. But most of our parts can be found in the cockpit. So switch guards, if you've ever seen a movie where a fighter jet lifts up the switch before engaging the threat, we make those, and a lot of other components that hold the instrument to the back of the cockpit. So we make the cases that the instruments go in, the clamps that hold the instruments to the back of the cockpit, and various other parts, as well as avionic cooling ducts. And then in about 2006, we started doing more business with NSWC Crane, so a naval surface warfare station located just about 30 minutes south of us. Since then, we've really grown a lot more in defense side, so splitting commercial aviation. And then I came on in the company in 2020. There was not the best time to be in commercial aerospace during COVID, as well as we had a lot of parts on the 737 MAX, and they had those two foreign crashes, so they kind of had a pause on production. So that really crippled the company. Luckily, we had a big defense presence, as well as I leveraged some connections I had from my previous career in law enforcement to manufacture components in the firearms industry. We did a lot more stuff in the medical industry as well during that time, partnering with a company that was making sanitation devices. So you could plug this into a room and it would sanitize the whole thing of germs. So dental offices and a lot of other companies bought those, and they were one of our tenants of one of our other buildings. So it was really easy to make it and deliver it. And then since then, we've really grown a lot more in the defense side, and then are starting to enter more in the space industry as well.
Okay, fantastic overview. We'll definitely get back into some of those details later in the show because I'm so curious about how all of this diversification happened, how you can go from a primarily aerospace and defense to now covering so many other industries. But first, I want to talk about your unique career. You have a very unique journey, Johnny. And I think it's worth sharing that with our audience to kind of establish how you have developed into the leader that you are today. Because I've had a few conversations with you now. I think some might get the impression that, this is a family business. He's just taking over for his dad, but it's absolutely not like that because there are so many things that you did coming out of school on your own. So just if you can walk the audience through kind of how you got started as a professional.
Absolutely. So, I went to high school in San Diego, California. I was in kind of a military cadet program there. I've always had interest in enlisting or going into the military in one component. Also had a lot of interest in law enforcement. So, I applied to and got accepted to Indiana University. And as a child, I had lived in Bloomington, so I knew the town,
Okay.
loved it. Had still had some friends from back then. So I got accepted into Indiana University, and then eventually into the Kelley School of Business, where I would later get my undergraduate degree in entrepreneurship and corporate innovation. However, in between my sophomore year and junior year, I went through the Indiana Police Academy. So while I was going to college, I worked as a cadet for 1 year and then a part-time police officer. So I was a fully sworn police officer in the state of Indiana for 2 years. Really fell in love with law enforcement, really liked kind of the service component of it. Um, and so did that for 2 years. I applied for the department after I got my bachelor's degree. I worked part-time for about another 9 months. At that time, law enforcement was 1 to 2 people or 1 to 2 spots and about 100 to 200 people applying. So everybody wanted to be in law enforcement back
Wow.
then, which sounds so
Yeah.
foreign with the way
It
today's
is much
market is
different
compared.
now,
It's
right?
it's almost
Yes.
inverse. It's almost inversed.
Mm.
However, I loved
Wow.
it, had great people, got hired on that department in 2014. Uh, and then I worked patrol for a couple of years. At that time, I didn't really see a lot of growth moving forward. So I looked to the Army National Guard, where I enlisted in 2017. Coincidentally, between the time I enlisted and shipped off to basic training, I had also been promoted to a narcotics detective and was selected to be on our SWAT team. So went through basic training.
Okay.
During that time, they had a massive hostage situation, so they had about a 33-hour gunfight, which I was uh, sad that I was not there to be a part of the guys that I was really close with. So from about 2017 to 2020, I worked concurrently in the Army National Guard as got promoted eventually to a recon team, and then I became a sergeant on that team, and then worked undercover, doing some drug buys as well as doing some SWAT operations with the SWAT team. Um,
Wow.
I left the team in 2020. Was really looking to kind of leave law enforcement. Had a difference of opinion with the administration, but also my first son was on his way, and I really wanted to look at something that's going to
Mm.
provide a little bit more stability for my family, as well as
Yes.
having the weekends off and not having these crazy work schedules, waking up at 2 a.m. to go do a drug buy. So my dad offered me a part-time job. So I still was working narcotics while I was working part-time at MSP. Really fell in love with kind of the culture and what they were doing, the mission set, some of the products that they're selling to the DoD or parts I was the end user on. So that was really cool. And it was really cool to work with my dad. It brought us a lot closer. I worked night shift primarily, so I was not super close with my dad. My dad's always been a big role model and always there for me. It's just time was not as easy now. And then 2020, I came in. I definitely was a little hesitant because right after I come in, we had to furlough employees. Our sales dropped by
Mm.
about 70% just in COVID. Luckily, one of my close friends started his own company and was needing a manufacturing. So we supported them. They helped us carry a lot of the weight through COVID. We also donated a lot of face shields, got some good publicity from that. So medical companies reached out.
Okay.
But I kind of have carried the legacy as my dad is a really great person, and I have just tried to follow in his footsteps. And I think without him, I wouldn't be able to do a lot of the things. But big believer in do the right no, right thing for people no matter what. And sometimes it's returned, sometimes it isn't. But you get to sleep well at night, and so we diversified into those.
Yes.
Boeing started to come back, and then other defense business grew. So we saw a lot of growth over those years. Now we were starting with record low sales numbers. So if I was manipulating statistics, I'd have a really fast linear line of sales going up. However, I was more building the company back up to where it was in 2019, which prior to 2024 was their record year. We were able to break
Okay.
through a revenue ceiling they'd never broken through in 2024, and we are looking to achieve that same number in 2025. So that ceiling has now become more of our baseline, and we've invested a lot more into different capabilities, automation, new ERP systems, AI programming, all different things where prior to when I was here, there was not any five-axis machining, which is pretty old technology for machine shops to not have. I mean, they have new machines coming out, but the idea of it is not nothing new. But I was able to kind of make some personnel changes and get a team that I can trust that also has a similar vision, and that is what has led a lot to the execution. I think I've been gifted to see some things, and I'm often the face of MSP, but I can't give enough credit to our team because without them, I probably wouldn't be on this podcast talking with you or being able to talk about our successes.
Well, no, we're happy to have you. It's a tremendous story. That revenue record last year, 6.4 million, is that right?
Yes, so we never broken six before, and so we hit just
Okay.
shy of 6.5. We had one last minute move out from December to January, or else I would have had 6.5, but it was a little bit out of our control. So we still celebrated big on that one.
Heck yeah. And so looking to repeat that this year. I think one of the things you're trying to leverage with that is maybe the infrastructure, what you have in place within your current footprint within the facility, and what opportunities you have to really maximize the utilization of that space.
So recently, as of a couple of weeks ago, and a couple other projects we had earlier this year, so we redid our quality department. It used to just be kind of a surface plate with basic machinery, more manual measuring. We now have a coordinated measuring machine, a CMM, that can do large parts and 10% of the time and with more reliability. It's climate controlled now, because before I had machines that could run tighter tolerances than I could measure. Now it's inversed, and I'm happy to keep kind of running that game back and forth, getting machines that do better than my quality system, and then moving my quality up. But we did a new shop layout, so we got rid of this old dinosaur piece of equipment that was probably from the 1980s. We used maybe 3 or 4 times a year. We were able to transition those three part numbers onto a different machine, and that was a huge footprint. So I was able to consolidate the footprint, bring in some new machines with robots, and that's where we're really planning on probably staying for the next year and a half. I have an additional warehouse with a tenant, goes out till 2028. And I do have another storage warehouse that's connected to our building. That's an additional, I think, 8,000 square feet. So I do have uh, room to expand in a very quick time if I need to. However, I'd like to be a little bit more strategic, and I think our company's great. However, I think our machine shop and manufacturing processes could be a little bit more visually appealing. So if we do move to another building eventually, I'd like to spend a lot of time being diligent and just making it look almost like a showroom so that it becomes another
Okay.
phase of my marketing. So on tours, people are just very impressed. People are more
Yeah.
impressed with our processes and certain types of machines we have, but overall, the warehouse could use a little TLC.
Okay. I was going to ask what the benefit, what is to be gained by having a good-looking manufacturing operation, but the tours, right, and the publicity that comes with that. I
That
can I
and
can share from Toyota's standpoint. We had the National Customer Excellence Center, and they ran the best tours I think in the industry. And you would just the floors would be clean, the manufacturing equipment is clean, the arrangement of it is just like an orchestra. So I
yeah,
can absolutely attest to
yeah,
what
and
a good
our
manufacturing floor can do
where
for you.
where it's currently at is just where the power was when they moved in 2002. So I don't think it's hard to see what you're going to be in 20 years, 25 years. So
Oh,
it's got the low ceiling height. The rest of the building is almost 30-foot ceilings, and that is a
okay.
lot lower. So we are limited on some of the
Yeah.
machinery we can put in there. We can't have a crane to move heavy pieces of equipment because of the low ceiling height. So it would make probably save the backs of some of my employees a little bit more, and having so many low back injuries from the army, I can
Oh,
emphasize with them.
absolutely. All right. So then we'll talk about the new sectors that you're getting into with the business. I think keeping those tight tolerances is probably still the number one mission for you guys. But I love the line on your all's website, tight tolerances and zero drama as kind of the core principles to guide you there.
Yeah, I liked that line too. I didn't come up with it, but our marketing company did a really good job. So shout out to Marketing Metal. They do a really good job with marketing for manufacturers.
Nice. A good shout out there. We can definitely share their name there. I want to talk a little bit about these core values that you all also have. Now, were those ones that you helped develop and kind of bring to light? Were they in place when your dad owned MSP, or was it a marketing firm that helped come up with those?
So it was an advisor and friend of mine that shared kind of some of
Okay.
the structure, I guess, of how core values are
Yeah.
important. The culture was good at MSP when I came in. I think it's excellent now. So I took,
Mm.
when I look at most effective teams I've ever been a part of, I look at the SWAT team I was. I mean, just top performers, all little drama, no drama, but supportive, emotionally and
Yeah.
mentally, after seeing some critical incidents. But it was also a self-selecting process. So you tried out pretty hard to get on the team, and then once you were on the team, you could be kicked off if you're not performing. So I really liked that high level of performance.
Mhm.
And then I um, really took some things from the law enforcement or from the military as well. So I like resilience. I think that's the one thing veterans have um, that makes them very effective. So in the military, sometimes you're given a mission or objective, and you can't um, often get the resources you need to do that. So you got to come up with ways to be innovative, adaptive, still hit because you're still expected to hit it even if you don't have the resources. So that's where I came up. A lot of those come up with um, my past career where I thought those were very effective. And then some are, pretty normal for other manufacturing companies too. But I really wanted to have a core value that I strongly believe in and that I can execute because it's one thing to put it on the board if the president and then have the president not lead from that. So I wanted it to be something I can post around the company, but then when people look at me, they're like, he's executing all of those core values. They're not just something he's saying.
Absolutely. I'll go through them because I think they're so good, and I was delighted to see them. I think I told you I was like, some of these are exactly the ones that I selected with Focal Point because they make us go through an exercise. You can choose from, like 50 um, superlatives about which of these are your core values. And I had three from my non Air Force career. It was just an Air Force ROTC scholarship and field training and a couple of years with that. But the three core values that they instilled in me were integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. And I've just kind of added on to those as I've gone. Toyota had the Toyota precepts and some previous core values that we had when we were separate from the sales side, and they kind of blended those together. But they always felt long-winded to me. Like when you get to those three at the base, it felt like that was all you really need, and then you're just adding extra words to it. But yours here, I'll go through them really good. Integrity. So, like I say, common with one of mine. Efficiency, moving fast, staying sharp, no wasted motion. I love that I'm a swimmer. So that's honestly like
Okay.
the way that I would want someone to describe my swimming is efficient. I'm never going to be
Yeah.
the fastest because I'm a distance swimmer, but it looks darn efficient.
There you go. Nice.
Resilience. Resilient, showing up even on tough days. Precision, details aren't optional, they're the job. Respect. So Toyota they had respect for people held up in a very high regard there. So that's a good common one. And of course, innovation. Innovation where kind of it all comes back to what you're doing, what you're designing, and how you're able to make these products for the vendors that are putting their trust in you to build to their design. So Johnny, good on you. It's a good set of core values. And I think, like you said, it's led to an excellent culture that you're fostering right now.
Thank you.
Do you have a favorite? You said it was resilience, maybe?
I think resiliency is my favorite. I just it kind of is the backbone for all of them. And they tie into, being innovative. You can't be innovative if you're not resilient during the times that kind of suck. Um,
Well, and
it's
it's
probably my
truthful, right?
favorite.
Because they're not going to be all easy times. You're going to have things that are difficult, things that are hard, and it's in doing the hard things that we grow. So I think that's absolutely a good
100%.
one to
I
hold in
think
high regard here.
Yeah, I think adversity is one of the best teachers. I personally believe I've learned more through failure than I have successes, and that's where it's like
Mm.
if you just want to give up, you're missing a great teaching point. It may not seem obvious at the time.
Yeah.
It may seem like there's not much hope, but just keep pushing, keep grinding, and it generally works out better. At least from my experiences, it has.
Yeah. All right, we'll take a break from MSP for a minute because you've got some other entrepreneurial ventures that you're investing in and backing and supporting. So tell me about what Mobile Mulligans in North Carolina is. What's going on there?
All right, so Mobile Mulligans is a company my buddy and another friend of mine own. So Alex Todd, who's the founder and CEO of the company, him and I worked in law enforcement together. He worked patrol
Nice.
when I was working dope, but he helped me with some buys and he played football for IU. He's a huge dude, definitely.
Oh, nice.
I think
Okay.
I worked patrol with him while he was still in training. And I think his first day out, I get into a street fight with a dude that's massive on PCP, and I hear him en route to back me, and I was
Oh,
like,
no.
"Thank the Lord," because I need some size on my hand. I'm good. This is not
Yes.
working well for me right now. So he called me. He came up with the idea. So all the credit in the world to him. He was living in Tampa at the time, and coincidentally, by living
Okay.
in Tampa, Florida, there wasn't a lot of places to golf. So he came up with the
Oh,
idea of what if I had a box truck that I could golf in? Box trucks are easier than trailers, especially in an urban environment. Parallel parking a trailer, not the most fun thing in the world. So
yeah.
we worked together. I had won a pitch competition that kind of was not supported after that. So I used some of that money, funded our patent filings and everything. He was moving to North Carolina, so we moved everything headquartered to North Carolina instead of Florida. Got some good investments, got some good backing by the SBA as well as CDFIs, which are very great for helping companies that are, new, no history,
Hmm.
uh, not, typically bankable. So we were able to fundraise all that. We built our first truck in April, had it built an hour before our launch event was scheduled. So quite a stressful week. Our chassis, so we had 14 miles on that chassis and the drive shaft broke. We had to have it all replaced. It was
Oh,
all
no.
warranted. Turns out when they were in
Wow.
manufacturing it, they either over torqued one of the bolts and it snapped like probably somewhere during the manufacturing process. We just didn't know until 14 miles of driving it.
Wow.
So we
Yeah.
were able to get that up and
I'll be darned.
running. Spevco, who is the builder in North Carolina, cannot say enough good things about the gentleman that run company, and that's kind of where I've aligned myself. I'd rather pay more and do good business with good people because when things like that happen, they bend over backwards. And so
Yeah.
we can have that launched. We've had a couple celebrities in there. So one of which is Nate Bargatze. He's a stand-up comedian. I got to play golf with him in the back of our box truck. But it unfolds too, so it's about
Nice.
250 square feet. And I forget the height dimension. I want to say 15 feet, but I tell my oldest son it's a real life transformer because it transforms into this really cool golf simulator and almost to the point where we do pictures on the inside. We need to put more branding because it looks like it's in somebody's house. It's
Oh,
just,
wow.
we have a lot of solar
Okay.
blockage so that it stays dark in there, good
Hmm.
projection, and it's just pretty big. We've had people that are 6'7" swinging golf club not hitting any of the walls, so there's a lot of space in there.
Nice. Very good. Has it grown beyond just the one unit, or is it still just the one wonderful unit?
So it's one unit, but we're getting to the point where we're booking out days and then
Okay.
getting requests for the same day. So we're exploring franchise models or additional trucks. We are definitely prepping for some growth, but with growth you need some capital. So we've got some other things we got to take care of
Yeah.
first, but um, they're well funded for so far.
Good. And can I ask what uh, simulator system you elected to use in the box truck?
So we use the TrackMan IO because it mounts from the top
TrackMan,
rather
right?
than the
It's
side. Yep.
okay. That's like industry standard. That's the best there is.
Oh,
TrackMan.
yeah, it's
That's
good.
what
Not cheapest,
my club
but
uses. And
yeah.
no, you're right. No, yeah, it's a huge investment and even like keeping it calibrated.
Yep.
But it is so accurate and it gives you so much data back as a
Oh,
golfer
it's
that maybe
amazing.
doesn't need it. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So there's also, and this is a little bit of kind of a testament to your business savvy. As president of MSP, you came along and said, well, actually, there might be some benefits to this being a veteran-owned company someday. So you started Goody Solutions. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so Goody Solutions is a service-disabled veteran-owned business located in our same building that MSP is. I've kind of created it for three different approaches now, one additional one since we last spoke, but
Good.
one to be a contract
Okay.
vehicle for teaming agreements with other companies as we develop things and we want to hit that set aside, but I also, if it doesn't take off or things fail, I'm not risking a brand that has 83 years of great one, so I can be a little bit more
Mm,
liberal on the business I'm doing that. But I was gifted by having a network that just let me know every grant, every funding opportunity, training grants I could take advantage of. A lot of small businesses in the state of Indiana don't always have that resource. So I wanted Goody Solutions to be another vehicle for me to give back without being a non-for-profit because I know how to run a profit company
mm.
better than a non-for-profit. But just being a
Yeah.
contract vehicle to be an approved vendor for the state to give back to other companies to get the same information I did because I would not be where I am without the people that have supported me or given me the secret sauce. So we've been very lucky to pretty much max out every grant that I can touch. I've had so many
Fantastic.
people come in and say, "Hey, do you know how this works?" I'm like, "Yes, I've already used it and I'm maxed out. I can't apply anymore." And so all the time I get requests. They say that we're one of the best, businesses that utilizes government funding to better our operations. And Indiana probably does more so than the state, so that has been helpful. I've talked to counterparts in different states that are like, "That's wonderful. We just simply don't have programs like that." So Indiana has done a really good job, and it has the highest per capita manufacturing economy in the United States.
Is that a fact?
Yes.
Per
So not the
capita. Well, I
biggest.
need to start.
California, Texas are,
Right.
are definitely bigger,
Yep.
but
Oh,
per
yeah.
capita, Indiana's number
Yep.
one.
That's fantastic. I know, certainly living in the hotbed of Columbus with Cummins and
Yeah.
Toyota and um, so many manufacturing in that complex that we were in. It's a hub, and what I think is fascinating about it is maybe compared to other parts of the state, Bloomington's like this too because of IU, but it's just such a diverse area. You have people from
Mhm.
all over the world that are coming here to grow and excel and thrive, and you wouldn't think of it in the middle of the armpit of Indiana. You have all this diversity, and it's so people tell me like, why do you live there? I grew up near Louisville, and I just have to kind of explain to them that Columbus is kind of a hidden gem when it comes to the culture here and just what has grown.
Yeah. And I mean, Northern Indiana, I think has a little bit more manufacturing, but I think the percentage was manufacturing was like maybe 24 or 26% of jobs in Indiana is just in manufacturing. Uh, and you think
That's
about it, it's
wild.
like everything you touch, everything you kind is made somewhere, some way. And, there's this big onshoring effort. So a lot of companies coming to Indiana too. So I think the percentage is only going to increase, but you're definitely right about the diversity. I was my last phase of the National Guard or Recon unit moved to Columbus, so I got to spend a lot of time in Columbus. Um, and I've
Nice.
played an adult hockey league in Columbus too, so I know the ice rink
Oh
there.
yes, that's serious. That's no joke. There, look out.
Yeah,
They'll take you apart in that league. Got a
yeah,
friend of mine that plays in it, and they play broomball too over at a different
yeah.
facility. That's intense. Oh, Johnny, what lessons do you think you could share with an up and coming business leader from what you've learned running these multiple ventures while still scaling and serving as president for MSP?
I've just been very blessed to have a really good work-life balance despite doing all these. So I have a very good routine.
Mm,
Wake up every morning at 4:30 to get a workout in before work, so I'm very mentally focused. Good
okay.
diet, good nutrition, good sleep. I use this quote, and I need to give more credit to my old SWAT commander, Mick Williams, but one quote I always say is, "Don't confuse good luck with good tactics." So a lot of times businesses have done well. They've been lucky and there's better ways of doing things, but that's always my counter argument when people say, "We've always done it this way," or "Why change?" You may have been getting lucky. It doesn't mean we're always doing the best thing. So I think surrounding yourself with a team that's innovative and can think outside the box. And sometimes you need to talk to people outside of the organization because it's natural for people to think similar when they're surrounded by the same people all the time in the same four walls. But I think, and then don't be afraid to reach out for help. And I think the reason why having a good network is so important, or how you get such a good network, is you have to be that good network too. So you have to be willing to
Hmm.
take time out of your day to not work on MSP, but to help this gentleman with his welding company or
Yeah.
something like that. And I think a lot of these networking events, I speak to one of the IU classes on networking, and I'm constantly asked, like, how do you know if you went to a networking event and if it was a good ROI or not? And I'm like, there's times you don't. I've met people that later turned into big awards 5 years later, but I think you need to just be focused on making good relationships, being a good person, doing what's right, that integrity part that is our core value. But I really strongly believe you can hit those. You might not have revenue quadrupling every year, but I think if you can do a lot of those things, take care of your people. We have little to no turnover here, and that makes things a lot
Hmm.
easier. Hiring people is not the most fun. It's time consuming. Interviews are not always fun when you're doing them. So I think just my bottom line is just be a good person.
If it were only that simple, that's pretty good advice.
So
Be a good
simple, not
person.
easy. It is simple. It's not always
That's
easy.
right. That's right. And I love your comment about networking too, because that's, as a coach now, that's what I have to do so much of, and I spend my energy networking. And you're exactly right that it's honestly about what can you provide? How can you be valuable to others? Not just what can they give to you, but how can you provide some valuable service that they didn't even know they needed yet?
Yeah, and it provides a really good
Mm.
ecosystem too. And a lot of times you might meet someone at a networking event and you're like, I'm not interested, you can't help me, but I know someone that could use your service, or I know someone that could help you. And you bring that third party into the conversation too. And
Yep,
that's really helpful as well.
I like it. Johnny, we'll close on this. It's the title of the podcast. Making more blank is the most important to you in your career right now.
I think I would have to say making more opportunities. So making more opportunities for myself,
Okay.
my family, but my team and my employees. I want all of my employees to live a life where they don't have to stress out about bills, other things like that. Unfortunately, I have to bring more revenue into being able to pay my employees more. But I think opportunities is such a great word because it goes through all parts of my life. I want my kids to grow up with opportunities. I want my immediate family also to have opportunities. I want my employees to just live a wonderful life and have opportunities for their kids. And it's been cool to be able to see my employees bring in some of their kids that are now our employees too. So I think opportunities is what I'm going to stick with on this one.
It is a good one. And again, you are the provider of those opportunities. So a great position to be in. And I think just it comes from a genuine place of caring and what you're doing for the associates there at MSP. So congratulations on that. And a big thanks, Johnny, for being here today on Making More. Thank you so much for joining.
No problem. Thank you for having me. It's been a great conversation with you.
From his service in law enforcement in the Army to leading MSP manufacturing and building new ventures, Johnny continues to show what disciplined, values-driven leadership can accomplish. So feel free to connect with Johnny on LinkedIn or reach out, book a tea time with Mobile Mulligans if you're in North Carolina, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for listening to Making More. If today's conversation sparked something in you, let's connect. You can find me on LinkedIn and Threads at Coach Fisher FPT, or by visiting billyfisher.focalpointcoaching.com to learn more about how I help leaders create clarity, build momentum, and make more of what matters. This recording is copyrighted by Engineered Consulting Incorporated. Until next time, take care.